this, I would like to thank our esteemed speaker, Professor KVS Hari and Professor Rajiv Lochon Das. Both are very eminent in the field of signal processing. So Professor KVS Hari possibly will talk about general IEEE and IEEE SPS chapters, and then Professor Rajiv Lochon Das will give you a sort of technical talk. I already requested Professor Das to be little bit on the popular side, so that it should not be a very purely technical, so that the students, the undergraduate students who are present over here, they may feel little bit distracted from the talk. So he will do justice, I believe. And once again, I congratulate the IEEE Signal Processing Society student branch at MBIT. With this, I stop over here. I give it back to Ria for conducting the remaining part of the program. Thank you all. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, sir, for your helpful words. Our chief guest for the day is Professor KVS Hari. He is the Vice President of IEEE Signal Processing Society membership since January 2020. He is a professor at the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He is also the director of ESQ UVE Communication Solutions Private Limited. He has also served as the chairman of IEEE Bangalore section. Worked as an affiliated professor for 6 years in signal processing for Royal Institute of Technology. He has also been a visiting associate professor at Stanford University. We are obliged to have such an esteemed personality as our guest today. I request her to say a few words.
Good morning to everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to interact with you virtually. I would have been very happy to be physically present at the inauguration. First of all, congratulations to the MBIT student branch for initiating the creation of the SPS chapter. You have now joined a global network of signal processing societies, student chapters, more than 200 odd student chapters across the globe. And as Professor Suman Mitra mentioned, I would like to also congratulate the Gujarat section for being a very vibrant section, and also the SPS chapter of the Gujarat section to be one of the top chapters in the world in terms of activities. So you are in good hands in terms of mentorship and leadership. And special thanks to Chirag and Suman and others for making this happen. The society is one of the first societies which was created when IEEE was formed. So it's one of the oldest societies of IEEE. Of course, the name changed. It used to be called by a different name, and then it IEEE was formed, and then the Signal Processing Society was born in 1948. So in 2023, we will be 75 years old, and you have now become a member of a very distinguished professional society of IEEE. Now, the focus of Signal Processing Society is basically to ensure that we recognize that signal processing is the science behind our digital life. As we speak, signal processing is in action. My voice and video is being transferred to your desktops or your smartphones powered by signal processing algorithms, and which many of you must be actually working on, and the faculty members must be teaching the students about. And industry professionals are making systems to enable this to happen. So signal processing is very essential and crucial for our lives, and which improves efficiency and maybe creates new opportunities and innovations. From the Signal Processing Society board, we are very clear that students are our key stakeholders because you are the future of technology builders or technology changing the technology landscape, which can have global impact. So for us, every student member of Signal Processing Society is a very valuable member, and we would strongly encourage more and more institutions start Signal Processing Society chapters in all across the globe, and particularly in India, uh, because we have a large base of engineering institutions which teach signal processing for almost all the disciplines. And signal processing cannot be isolated only to the electronics or electrical communication or electrical engineering. It is there everywhere. So all engineering colleges need to teach signal processing. So the student base is very important for the society's growth and for technical interaction, and ensuring that you have the benefit of reaping the benefits of all the technological advances which signal processing enables. So with these few words, I would like to basically urge the students and the faculty of MBIT to ensure that you interact with other society chapters in your student branch. I would also encourage you to start other chapters because as an engineer, we need to know that from a system point of view, you need other disciplines also to be understood, right? So it is good for you, for the growth of IEEE student branches and the Signal Processing Society to become members of other chapters also. Now, there are a lot of opportunities for the students of this chapter and the faculty members of the college to participate in various activities of SPS globally. So there are opportunities for you to organize technical symposia, organize conferences, organize different meetings, organize student job fairs. All that can happen under the Signal Processing Society. And Signal Processing Society would be very happy to support you both in terms of mentorship and financial support if the proposal is strong enough. Ensure that you meet regularly, you conduct technical events. Now with this virtual platform being so convenient for people to join remotely, you should not just restrict yourself to just people around you geographically, but just go across the world and invite people to join virtually and enrich yourselves. Education is very important for Signal Processing Society. So therefore, from this year, we have a new Vice President of Education, which was created. We would strongly urge you to create and use opportunities to create resources for education. So the faculty members can get involved in preparing very interesting video lectures. Students can contribute by making these video lectures more informative and maybe by putting in more of animation. So please do not stop yourself from doing things which you want to do. And IEEE as a professional society would certainly like you to pursue your dreams. And we would strongly support anything you would do from a technical point of view, anything that is possible to help you grow from a purely technical point of view. The other aspect of students would be to learn soft skills. You should be able to learn how to communicate, how to speak, how to interact, how to respect each other, how to find your own strength, complementing your expertise with others, and work in teams. And this is very, very important for you to learn, because the future of your career would depend upon what kind of qualities and training you imbibe in all these aspects also, apart from understanding signal processing. Now, a very strong component of the objectives of SPS is to encourage women in signal processing. We really would like a lot of women students and faculty and professionals to be active volunteers in Signal Processing Society. So the Women in Signal Processing is a very strong objective for us, and we would like to strengthen it so that all the issues related to women are addressed, and that you are better prepared to face the world. And just to summarize my thoughts, I would like to say that all students, whether you get into a job in an industry or you pursue your higher studies, you need to ensure that your basics are strong. Okay, and it is very important for you to concentrate on excellence in whatever you do. So my appeal to all of you is to ensure that you concentrate on what you're doing, be clear in your understanding, have integrity, and be ethically correct in whatever you do, and ensure that you take all your friends along with you in ensuring that you build a stronger foundation for your teams in whatever you want to pursue. So again, congratulations to MBIT, the MBIT IEEE student branch, and the newly formed SPS student chapter to ensure that the growth of signal processing continues in India and globally. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and all the best for you.
Thank you, sir, for the informative words.
In the meantime, sir, can you please enlighten us the funding procedure?
Okay. So Signal Processing Society has many opportunities for you to bid for conducting events. We have something called seasonal schools, where you can write a proposal to conduct a summer school or a winter school, for which a maximum funding of $5,000 is possible based on your proposal. Now, the proposal should contain what are the sources of income for the event you would get from other agencies, which includes including registration fee or your own institution support or any other sponsor, and so on and so forth. And then you can prepare the cost involved in conducting these events. The in-person events, of course, require a lot of logistics and cost. For virtual events, there is not much of infrastructure required. So once the pandemic sort of subsides and then we come back to normalcy, you can apply for that. The other thing, of course, is the distinguished industry speakers and distinguished lecturer program, which Professor Chirag and Professor Suman Mitra would know. They would help. Through the chapter, you can request distinguished speakers who are identified by the society. Okay, so while we wait for the speaker, you need to look at the website and contact Teresa. Professor Chirag knows her well, and you can take his advice. You can contact and give support. The other thing is that student chapters can also get some annual funding for conducting meetings. So you may want to write a mail to Teresa. You can get her email address from the website and inquire about what kind of support you require for an event, for the set of events. It's always good to ensure that you meet regularly so that you can show the sequence of events. Now, the other important thing is that all student members will get reduced registration fee for tutorials in large conferences. And we would like students to be encouraged to attend large conferences. So there are travel grants for students if your papers are accepted. And all of you should aim to write good research papers so that you can avail of this possibility. The other possible things are that if you want to, let's say, organize a hackathon, so then these signal processing events can also be funded. So suppose you want to organize a hackathon in your college or in, let's say, the Gujarat section with multiple colleges, and you require some kits to be bought, you require some infrastructure, you require some whatever support, you can write again a proposal for that and you can submit. It is not that the proposal should be $5,000 worth. It is up to $5,000. Typically, not many events get funded for up to $5,000 unless it's a very strong proposal. So even a few $100, $1,000 is also funded. The way the decisions are taken, I want to inform you that it is not that because I am the vice president of membership that I can allocate or approve. It is always a committee approach. There is a committee which looks after every proposal. There is an Excel sheet where each committee member scores independently. Then we average, we set a threshold, and then we approve. So this happens in multiple levels. There is a multiple committee. Then it comes to the membership board, of which I am the vice president. And I also, as a member, would put marks. And in all, everything is transparent. Everybody knows each one's marks and what we have done. And finally, the aggregate score is used to approve. So these are nice, good professional practices which you will learn when you join IEEE, and very good to even incorporate in your daily working. So as a student branch, if all of you must be having your own office bearers, please practice these nice professional best practices to interact and ensure that you have imbibed some good professional practices in your daily life. So the funding, as I told you, can go up from anywhere from a few $100s to a few $1,000s. All you need to do is to look at the website. There is a link for chapter benefits. If you have difficulty, please send a mail to me. Then I will direct you to the proper person who can help you. Otherwise, the website does have information. I do confess that the website may not be that friendly, but there is information on the website. So we are trying to revamp the website also. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Our speaker has arrived.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Yes, go ahead.
The speaker for the day is Dr. Rajiv Lochan Das. He is the assistant professor at Dhirubhai Ambani Institute of Information and Communication Technology. He has completed his PhD from IIT Kharagpur. He has done his Bachelor's of Engineering in Electronics and Communication from National Institute of Technology, Durgapur. He has also worked as assistant professor at Dr. B.C. Roy Engineering College, Bankura Unayani Institute of Engineering. We thank Sir for sparing his valuable time and being the guest at our ceremony. We request Sir to start the session.
Thank you. So, am I audible?
Yes, Rajiv, you are audible.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, I can't open my video, so that is not working. Okay. So, thanks for my introduction. So today I'll give a brief talk about the adaptive algorithms for part system. So let me share my screen.
Yes.
Now it is fine?
Yes, it is fine, Rajiv. You please go ahead.
Okay. So title of my talk is Adaptive Algorithms for Online Identification of Sparse Systems or Channels. So already introduction is given. So I got BE from NIT Durgapur, Masters from Jadavpur, and PhD from IIT Kharagpur. So I have total 11 years teaching experience. Out of this, I am now in DICT for last 4 years. And the broad research areas is about adaptive signal processing and compressive sensing. So these are few publications. So I've got few publications from adaptive signal processing as well as compressive sensing. Okay. Now, content of this presentation is that first I'll introduce about adaptive system identification problem. Then I'll show that part system will exist in reality, and we can use the sparsity of the system to make better algorithms. So then we'll discuss few popular algorithms, parts algorithms like PNLMS, and then I'll discuss my proposed JDPNLMS algorithm, and then I'll go for conclusion. So this is one block diagram for adaptive system identification. The problem is that if I have an unknown system and if I want to estimate the parameter of the system from its input and output data in online, then I can use some adaptive algorithms to train, to estimate that systems. Okay, so we can use these adaptive algorithms, and the adaptive algorithms here, the input sequence is xn, and output of adaptive algorithm is yn, suppose, and desired sequence is dn. Okay, and where dn is given as this thing, the w0 convolution with xn, you know that impulse response of an unknown system is w0, then we have to convert the input sequence with impulse response of the unknown system, and noise is then added. Now our task is that to estimate w0 using one adaptive algorithm. So there are few techniques, algorithms. So most commonly used algorithms are least mean square, where from previous update, previous wn, we can have a better update wn plus 1 by just taking one gradient descent search, and so one correction term will be added with wn, and you see the update rule for LMS is very simple. It is nothing but wn plus 1 is equals to wn plus mu times en and xn vector, and mu is the step size of the algorithm. So in every iteration it is updated, and it will then the algorithm will try to follow the unknown system impulse response w0. So LMS algorithm is simplest one, and its normalized version is given below. So only changes is that the regressor vector xn is now normalized. So it is, so here one advantage is that the mu is bounded between 0 to 2, there it is stable. Okay, so quickly I will go for sparse system. So the impulse response of a system, if it contains only few non-zero elements and rest elements are 0 or close to 0, then we can say that system is sparse. Okay, so I have given one example. There I have shown that few elements only they are non-zero and rest are all made 0. And next I have given one practical system that is nothing but ITU-T G168, that is for sparse network echo path. Okay, so you see here also the practical system is having a sparse system. So you can find few more example. So this is one architecture for network echo path. So adaptive algorithm is employed here, and you see from loudspeaker to microphone, from microphone to loudspeaker, this path both the way. So there are few paths, multi-path communication is there, but if only few multi-paths are there, then I can say that it is sparse. It's not very dispersive. Similarly, I can have sparse multi-path wireless channel. Only few multi-path could be there. in some scenario. Okay, so means impulse response will be sparse enough. So we want to exploit the sparsity of the system. Now, I have introduced NLMS, normalized least mean square. Now, here one popular parse algorithm is called proportionate normalized least mean square algorithm. So here only one gain function Gn is introduced so that it will allow the active tap, active means non-zero taps, to grow faster. So we'll try to give more gain to the active tabs. Tab means the non-zero elements, okay, so that they can grow quickly. Okay, so this is the idea. So this gain distribution is given like this. So Gn is basically a diagonal matrix, and it is somehow so proportional to its current weight. So if current weight is more, then its gain is large, means it will be allowed to grow further. And if the gain is small, then obviously it won't be allowed to grow. So main advantage of PLMS is that the active taps will grow quickly, as there are only few active taps, so they can converge quickly. As a result, we can have a very faster convergence rate compared to NLMS algorithm. But one drawback is that after faster convergence, its convergence rate decreases drastically. So I had one paper to analyze this PLMS algorithm. So this is one transaction paper. It was published in 2015. But in this talk, I want to present my proposed algorithm. So before that, okay, I want to give the simulation result for PLMS. So this is the system I have considered, and you see the response. I have plotted the normalized misalignment, means the difference between unknown system and my current output. Okay, so you see the error is decreasing gradually, but initial rate is very fast, then it is going slow. And I'll show you the plot how tabs are growing. And you can notice that few active tabs which are having larger values, they are growing very quickly. And some active tabs, those are having lower values, they are growing slowly. Okay, and the zero tabs, and they are having a crowded region that I have shown in zoom area. So now I'll discuss my proposed algorithm, which was published in this transaction paper in 2016. So this is zero attractive PLMS algorithm. So here I have introduced one additional constraint with the formulation of PLMS algorithm. So this red one is the additional constraint I have introduced. So because of this constraint, L1 norm constraint, I have got one updated rule like this. So in equation 7, you will see that the black portion is for standard PLMS, and I have got one additional term, that is minus rho sine of omega n. And this sine of omega n, now sine means signum function. So when omega is positive, or Wn, W is positive, then the sine value is 1. So rho is subtracted, means the magnitude is reduced by rho, and when W value is negative, then magnitude is increased by rho. So in other words, all the tabs are attracted towards 0. So it will help all the tabs to come towards 0 level. And as we know that system is having lots of 0 tabs, so 0 tabs are now attracted to 0 efficiently. And that can help to improve the performance of the PLMS algorithm. I'll show you the result. And you see, the red one is PLMS algorithm. the first initial convergence, and later on it was slow. And the reason behind that all the active tabs have converged, but inactive tabs or zero tabs, they are now in some random state, but they can't converge to zero level quickly because we have given more gain to active tabs only. So inactive tabs are given less gain, they can't return back to zero level. But in my ZAPNS algorithm, because of this zero attractor, second term is called zero attractor. So because of that zero attractor, the inactive tabs are now attracted to zero, so they can return back to zero level. So active tabs have converged. Inactive tabs are also converging quickly. As a result, we will have a uniform convergence rate, and also sometimes we will get some better steady state level. So I'll show you the evolution curve for PLMS and ZPLMS. So you see here that the inactive tabs, especially the crowded zone, I have shown in zoom portion, there all the inactive tabs, they are scattered. They can't return back to zero level. But you see the second figure where all the inactive tabs are very, very confined. They have returned back to zero level almost. So because of this, we have got better performance. So this is, that was the ZPMS algorithm. Recently, I have got one more paper that is published in 2019. I have improved the performance of ZPLMS further, but due to the limited talk, so time may not permit. So I can stop here. But if anybody is interested to understand this UT ZPLMS algorithm, then you will see that this algorithm can even improve the ZPLMS algorithm, because some active tabs which is having moderate magnitude, there we can take more care. So I can conclude my talk that I have introduced adaptive algorithms for unknown system identification problem. So I have shown that part systems are available in reality, and one standard algorithm for part system is proportionate normalized least mean square algorithm, and my proposed zero attracting PLMS algorithm can remove the drawbacks of PLMS algorithm. Especially, it can produce the faster convergence and uniform convergence rate till the steady state. So thanking you. So if you have any question, please.
Thank you, sir. The session was really interesting and amazing. Now I will request Sir Chirag Ponwala, sir, to say a few words.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to congratulate MBIT student branch and hope that they will find new heights and they will achieve they achieve the best, and they will motivate others also uh, to open the student branch. So at this juncture, I want to thanks Professor KVS Hari, who has accepted our invitation, Professor Suman Mitra also, who gave us the permission, and two of the organizers, mainly Professor Mita and Mr. Ankit, who worked very hard to arrange this program day and night. And because of them only, today we are able to organize this program. I also want to say thanks to our executive committee members who are present over here. Professor Mita Chapatwala, she is treasurer with us, and though she is suffering from COVID right now, she has joined us. We have Professor Nirali with us, who is handling the website right now. And sorry if I forgot someone in the list, but thanks one and all, and we are always available for any kind of the help to you. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We firstly thank our principal, Professor Dr. Archana Nenoti ma'am, to grant us this permission. We thank Chair Professor Suman K. Mitra, Vice Chair Professor Nita Ponwala, Secretary Professor Mukesh Goswami, Treasurer Professor Nita Chapatwala, Immediate Past Chair Professor Chirag Ponwala, Membership Drive Chair Mr. Ankit Dave, IEEE SPS Gujarat Section. We thank all the faculty members, students, and all the members who have actively participated in making this session a successful one. We thank each and everyone present here to give their support and cooperation. Now, we will request everyone to join us for the MBIT anthem followed by national anthem.
कर्तव्यों का बोध कराती अधिकारों का ज्ञान शिक्षा से ही मिल सकता है सर्वोपरि सम्मान
Thank you all. Thank you. So we close the meeting.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
May I suggest, hello, may I suggest all of us can switch on their cameras and you can take a picture?
Sure, sir. Sure. Reeti, please take a screenshot while everyone are switching on their cameras. Can you hear me?